Well, greetings everybody and welcome back to the Bond Geek channel with me, your host, the name's Henry Stevens, and I've got to ask you a question. I dare you, I double dare you. What does Ernst Stavro Blofeld look like? Quentin Tarantino, in my opinion, is one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. He's right up there with the likes of Steven Spielberg and Alfred Hitchcock. His unique perspective in cinema is so exciting to me, and I love seeing life through his lens and the characters he creates. My God, his characters are so incredible. From the larger-than-life characters, the goodies and the baddies, you remember every single Quentin Tarantino character. And the other side of what makes Quentin Tarantino so amazing is his dialogue. His dialogue is almost Shakespearean. There's something, I do akin it to actually Shakespeare. Like Shakespeare, when he used language to create something new, Tarantino uses language to create his own individual unique language in his films, and there's nothing truly quite like it. And at one point, Quentin Tarantino was really trying to make one of his films an adaptation of Casino Royale. Quentin Tarantino loves the story of Casino Royale and he loves James Bond, and at one point he was really pitching and really trying to start a movement to get him to be the director of the film adaptation, a proper adaptation of Casino Royale. So what would a Quentin Tarantino Casino Royale have looked like? Well, I want to look into that in this video, everybody, but before we get into it, can I just quickly ask, please, if you haven't already, do like and comment and do subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 1,000 members before the end of the year, and it'd be really great if we potentially could. But with that all done, let's look into a quick bit of history when it comes to Tarantino and Casino Royale and the rights. For those who don't know, when they started making the films, the official Eon films, there are two books they didn't have the rights to: Casino Royale and Thunderball. Thunderball, as we know, was owned, the film rights were owned by Kevin McClory, while Casino Royale, Ian Fleming had sold them to an American studio to make the climax 1950s hour-long special Casino Royale, and then it was eventually owned by Columbia Pictures, who were then owned by Sony. Now, back in 1999, Sony and MGM made a deal. Essentially, Sony got the Spider-Man rights, MGM got the rights back to Casino Royale. But before MGM could get the full rights back to Casino Royale, there were many other people punting for them, and one of those people was Quentin Tarantino. Cut now to 2004. Obviously, Die Another Day, it's been 2 years, Pierce Brosnan stepping down from the role of James Bond, but we know for a fact, because this has come from the words of Pierce Brosnan alone, that Quentin Tarantino pitched him with a lot of margaritas an idea of how to make his next James Bond film, Casino Royale, and trying to get him to come back and be his James Bond in Quentin Tarantino's version of Casino Royale. His idea was to get away from the gadgets, get away from the really big budget films and do something a lot smaller, a lot more down to earth, and really be as faithful to the James Bond book, Casino Royale. And from these pictures, everybody, Pierce Brosnan was starting to think, actually, maybe I would like to continue on. I would love to do one final James Bond film and it be Casino Royale and have Quentin Tarantino directed him. So at this point, everybody, there was the possibility we could have had a Casino Royale, Brosnan's 5th James Bond film, directed by none other than Quentin Tarantino. Now, some of the things we do know about Quentin Tarantino's version of Casino Royale is essentially this. A, he wanted it to be a period piece. He wanted it to be its own individual thing, set in the 1960s and in black and white. Now, this was a bone of contention with the producers. The producers wanted to keep Bond in the modern day and keep going forward. Tarantino had other ideas. He wanted to take the film back to the 1960s, do the book really like how it was in the 1960s, smaller budget, and also we do know that he wanted Una Thurman as Vesper Lind. Now, I'm just going to say this right off the bat, Una Thurman, I think, is one of the best actresses we've ever had on screen. You can just look at her portfolio and think of some amazing films, and at that point, Una Thurman and Tarantino were at their peak of their partnership and working together, and I think Una Thurman could have been an amazing Vesper Lind. At this point, everybody, I also want to go into this what if a bit more and discuss another Quentin Tarantino regular who I'm sure would have been in this movie, Samuel L. Jackson. It's quite weird to think that actually Samuel L. Jackson could have been in a James Bond film, but I can't help but wonder, what role would he have played? Well, I've narrowed it down to two. I think Quentin Tarantino could either have been the film's Felix Leiter or playing Le Chiffre. if I'm honest, I'd actually love to have seen Samuel L. Jackson play Le Chiffre. He has that sort of gravitas, and you know, everyone loves Samuel L. Jackson. And I think he could have really pulled off a very interesting Le Chiffre in comparison. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Mads Mikkelsen or Peter Lorre or Orson Welles, but can you imagine a Samuel L. Jackson Le Chiffre? The other thing that he really wanted was to include his motif of chapter cards. Essentially, he wanted every title in the book to have its own chapter card. So we would have had chapter 1, da-da, and then that bit, then next chapter. So we would have had a black and white 1960s noir Casino Royale with chapter cards, potentially with Vesper Lynd, played by Una Furman, and Pierce Brosnan as James Bond. How do I feel about that? Well, if I'm honest, I'm sort of glad they didn't make it. Now, don't get me wrong, I would love the opportunity to see Quentin Tarantino direct a Bond film, but nothing in the official series, if that makes sense. If he was doing an unofficial film like Casino Royale 67 or Never Say Never Again, that would be okay, but sometimes one of the great things about the Bond series is it does have its returning themes. It does have its, you know, foundation blocks. This version of Casino Royale would have been a complete stand away from everything and completely destroy some of the foundations that the Bond series has. I compare Quentin Tarantino's Casino Royale idea to the Joaquin Phoenix Joker. Elseworld, not really part of the main continuity, and I don't think that's the direction that the Bond producers wanted to go. In all likelihood, the reason Tarantino's Bond film never got made is that the producers had a very distinct formula of how to approach Bond, and even when the franchise is being reviewed, that formula can't be stretched too far. If you look at it from this perspective, Quentin Tarantino's film was, if you will, the complete opposite direction that the Bond producers took with the 2006 version of Casino Royale. But I have to answer this one. Which would have been better? In my opinion, I think that the 2006 film that we got was the better choice. I think the introduction of Daniel Craig as a young, naive Bond, a whole new Bond going out in Casino Royale, would have been better than having Pierce Brosnan play Bond in a film adaptation of Casino Royale. In my opinion, it wouldn't have worked. I also don't think that many audiences would have accepted a full black and white picture when it comes to a James Bond film. Again, it goes back to what I said about that formula. The formula is still in Casino Royale, but it's being reintroduced, and I think Tarantino's more, shall we say, artistic version, as entertaining and exciting I would have enjoyed it, I don't think would be what the audiences were looking for. So there you have it. We could have had Quentin Tarantino's version of Casino Royale instead of the 2006 version with Daniel Craig that we got. But I want to know, everybody, what are your opinions on the film? Would you have loved to see Quentin Tarantino's Casino Royale? Do you think it would have been completely the wrong direction? I want to know. Comment down below and tell me what you think. As always, everybody, my name is Henry Stevens, and this is the Bond Geek. Goodbye.